Hello, and welcome to Sacred Mindshift Circle. Today, we are joined by Nicoline Huizinga, an international speaker, business mentor, author, and human design coach whose work focuses on helping reconnect with their authentic energy, purpose, and inner alignment. For more than 2 decades, Nicoline has guided entrepreneurs, creatives, and professionals through personal transformation by combining self awareness, intuition, human design, energetic alignment, and practical strategy. Through her coaching, workshops, books, and speaking engagements, she encourages people to move beyond conditioning and reconnect with who they truly are beneath societal expectations. Nicoline is also the author of several books, including Aligned Energy and the Flick the Effin' It Switch series, where she speaks openly about courage, visibility, personal growth, and creating a life and business that feel genuinely aligned with one's inner truth. Thank you so much, Nicoline, for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so I asked you to be on the podcast because I know that you do human design or you talk about human design. Um, I remember maybe a couple of years ago, like I heard about the topic. There was like maybe a couple of people I used to follow on social media that spoke about it.
Hmm.
Um, and they kind of broke down how it worked. I thought it was very interesting, but I'd really like to delve into talking about it with you for you to
Yes.
kind of break it down for the audience and explain how you calculate it or how what function does it serve. So tell me first, how does one get into human design? I would love to hear your personal story of what sparked your interest in human.
Yeah, the funny thing is, for over 30 years, I've been in the coaching industry. And, but I always thought like something is missing. And in the coaching and personal development industry, there are a lot of assessments, the questionnaires and personality types and, MBTI, Insight Scholars, well, you name it. There are so many, but they're all based on questions, and therefore you can influence the outcome. And what happened when I got my own human design is now 8 years ago, was the first time it went because it's based on your date of birth, time of birth, and place of birth. For me, the first time was like, what? How can this be so spot on, just between air quotes, based on my date of birth, time of birth, place of birth? And so I got my own human design profile, and I was like, whoa, was really blown away by it. Even though at first I didn't really understand the dynamics, but once I started diving into it, I was like, oh, this is fascinating. And then gradually I started working with it with my own design. And then I started doing it with my clients and working with their design. And then, it's like a snowball. Couldn't be stopped anymore.
So you started to use it, as you said, with your clients,
Yeah.
and I mean, because you already did a business mentoring, right, with
Yes.
other individuals. So
Yeah.
what were their reactions when, usually when you think about business, you think about things that are practical, things that are
Yeah.
concrete, and then what you're bringing, which a lot of people sometimes feel is like a lot of like horoscope, like sometimes people look at it that way, as
Yeah,
if
I
it's
know.
with your
Yeah.
birthday. What were their reactions? And then what were the outcomes after you gave them these kinds of, I guess, tips to work on in terms of how they began to run their business and how things started functioning for them?
Yeah, great question. So what happened at first, because people think, like you said, think it's like a horoscope thing, and it's like kind of predicting like, oh, this week you're gonna meet someone special. It's like, no, that's not it. That's definitely not it. But what happened was because in my mentoring and my coaching, I can give people all the tools, but I'm sure you can relate to this. Sometimes you don't follow through. You don't take action. So, as a client of mine, people were like, yeah, I know it makes sense. Yeah, I know I should do this. Yeah, I know this is good for my business, but I'm not doing it. And this is where it got really interesting. So it's not to blame anyone. It's like, why aren't you taking any action? Because that's interesting. There's a story there. And when we started diving into their human design, things started to make so much sense. Like, oh wow, this is why I don't like cold outreach. This is why I don't like to work with large groups. This is why I don't want to deliver my stuff online but in person. This is why I hate marketing so much. This is why I find it so hard to express what it is that I do. And these are all all answers, and only just a bit, that came from their human design. And always, and this is now a pattern over the past 8 years, whenever I work with someone human design, I start explaining it. The first reaction, there are two things. First is relief. The relief of, oh my God, I'm not weird. I'm not crazy. I always thought there was something wrong with me. And so it's the big relief of, oh my God, this is who I am to the letter. Second, it's permission. And this is where things shift in business, especially because I mainly work with solopreneurs. When you give yourself permission to be the person that you have always been, things really shift. When you stop doing things that don't match your energy, like the cold outreach, the cold pitches, networking in huge groups, going to conferences where you don't really want to be, where you're not made to be, because some people are made for small groups. They're not made for huge groups where we all think like, oh no, but we should do this because it's good for business. We should do networking, there are so many shoulds when you run a business. And when you finally get the tools to make the distinction between what should is really for me and what shoulds can I just dismiss because they're not made for me, that creates space. It creates, I would say, confidence. It creates flow. And by being in that flow, you become magnetic. When you're confident and you are free, you feel free to express what it is that you do without playing small or without thinking, oh, but perhaps this is too weird or whatever. Because it's all energy. We are all energy. And energy is magnetic or it's not. And people feel it, even though, many people won't be able to label it as energy, but they feel when something is off. They feel when something is not right. And this is what shifts when you really know and start living your human design. And therefore, business is like a logical consequence that it starts to flow and it starts to fly. So that's basically what happened. More clients, more money, a feeling of flow, not working 24/7. Those are like the hard results. But the main thing is relief, permission, and that those are the blocks that really get the flow going.
Yeah, one of the things I've heard is that having a business is the most spiritual thing you can do because
Oh
it
God,
is a
yeah.
reflection of
Yeah,
whatever you are feeling or thinking or what's going on in your mind.
absolutely.
And so tell me a little bit. Okay, so just to break it down, and later I'll put a little chart more or less, but tell me about the different types of I guess the labels of the different types of
Yeah.
I don't know what you call them, generators? No,
Yeah,
because
energy types.
energy
Energy
types,
types.
energy
Yeah.
types in human design. And
Yeah.
tell me also, you can give your experience, when you started learning about it, what did you discover about yourself and what energy type that you were?
Yeah. Yeah. Great question. So I'm a generator, and generators represent the majority of people. 37% of people are generators. The thing for generators is that they need to respond. Whereas in the normal business world, people always say, the just do it, the Nike slogan, just do it, take the initiative, start doing things. And this is what I did for a very long time. I initiated because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. But as a generator, what we are supposed to do, we have a lot of energy, but the energy becomes magnetic when we do what we absolutely love doing. That's when the energy becomes magnetic. And whenever I promote something, it needs to be in response. And that is my strategy as a generator. It needs to be in response, and therefore I need to look out for cues, questions that people ask me. Doing polls, just basically asking my audience, what do you want? What do you need? They tell me things, and I'm like, yeah, that lights me up. That makes me, feel joyful, and this is what I want to do. And that's when I start promoting or creating an offer and promoting it. And then it's easy to sell. So that's for generators. You have a lot of energy, but you need to do what you love and you need to respond. So that's one. Second, manifesting generators, the second largest group, 33% of people are manifesting generators. They are the multi talented and multi passionate people. And the thing is, for many manifesting generators, is that they feel forced to choose just one thing. Because that's what we tell people in business. Choose just one thing, do one thing. You need to niche. Whereas the multi-passionate and multi-talented people, they are like, but what am I going to choose? Because I love so many things. And they are quick. And the thing is, they get bored really easily. So they need the variation of things in order to get their energy going. So if they choose just one thing, and in business, this is a big pitfall for them. Choose just one thing. So they start doing it, but they're bored out of their minds. So they choose one thing, then they change, they pivot, do something else, and then they, at some point, they don't have enough clients because clients get confused like, what do you offer? What do you do? So the thing is to define the overarching theme between all the things that they love and start promoting that. And then all the offers underneath that umbrella are worth promoting because the overarching umbrella is that is the niche or the theme, if you will. Then third group, projectors. You're a projector. So projectors represent 20% of people. The thing is, for projectors, they don't have the same amount of consistent energy like the generators and manifesting generators. But the projectors are great at guiding people. They are great at overviewing the bigger picture and spotting the gaps and seeing what's missing, what needs to be changed, what needs to be adjusted. But they don't need to do the work because they don't have the consistent energy to do it. But they are great as guides, as coaches, as advisors. They have this incredible wisdom. But what happens when we tell projectors to reach out and grow your network and add 10 people to your network every day? It feels unnatural. But this is not what you're meant to do. As a projector, what you're meant to do is just broadcast the message like a lighthouse, if you will, and that will attract the right people. And then you get invited, and that's where it starts making a lot of sense. Then the fourth group, manifestors. 9% of people are manifestors. The manifestors is basically the only group that is made to initiate. They are the visionaries. They are the people who have their own unique perspective of the world. But very, very often, and I see this a lot with female manifestors, they are told to tone it down, to play small, not to be loud, not to be so weird, not to be so different. And therefore, there's a lot of suppressed energy with manifestors. But they are here to change the world, to change the perspective, to be the visionary, to be the person who really has a different point of view. And then last but not least, the smallest group, the most unique group is reflectors. Only 1% of people are reflectors. And when you look at their body graph, and this is the image that you get in your human design, it's all white in their case. And the thing is, that means they are incredibly sensitive, and their sensitivity is their superpower. We call them canary in the coal mine because they sense when something is off. They just know when things are not right. But their sensitivity, and especially in this society, we label that as, too sensitive. Oh, come on, you should toughen up. But the thing is, their sensitivity is their superpower. And when you know, and I know many reflectors, when you know that this is your superpower and it needs cultivation, it needs protection, that's when things really start shifting in business. So, in a nutshell, those are the five energy types.
Okay, very good. And so, like, normally when I look at the chart, I'm going to try to put a chart later, as I mentioned before. It shows you the whole body.
Yeah.
It shows you specific regions of the body, and normally they are, I guess, associated with numbers, more or less, or I'm not sure.
Chakras.
Yeah, well, no, the
Yeah.
chakras, but then they're also like within each little
Yeah.
space,
The
their
gates
gate.
and the channels. Yeah.
Yeah. So explain a little bit about how that works. I'm gonna pull up a picture to maybe put it on afterwards so that also you can look at it and just like, explain it better. But tell me a little
Yeah.
bit about how that works.
Yeah,
The
so
gate.
to explain that, we need to go back to the origin of the human design system because it is a combination of spiritual learnings and science. The thing is, the science bit is quantum physics, and that's all about energy, combined with the modern astrology, which is why we need to know our date of birth, time of birth, and place of birth. We need to know, sorry, we go into the chakra system. The chakra system is also an element of human design. The Kabbalah system is part of it, and the Chinese I Ching. So when we look at the body graph, we see 9 centers. Those are squares and triangles. Those are basically the chakras, where 2 of the chakras in the chakra system have been split in human design. So that's where you have the 9 centers. And each center represents an element of our body, but also of our person, the person that we are. Now, in each and every center, so the center has a theme. So there's the head center, the ajna, throat, etc. So those have specific themes. In each center, there is a gate. You see the number in a center, and each gate has a specific theme too. There are 64 gates, and those 64 have everything to do with the I Ching. Now, when you look at the gates, in each center there are gates. Whenever a gate from one center to the other is connected, so both gates are defined. So, for instance, 1 and 8 are connected. That's when you call it a channel. Now there are 36 channels. And the 36, and those represent the Kabbalah system. So everything is combined in there. So there is the theme of a center, there is a gate that's even more specific. And when a gate is connected, it's called a channel. So that's how the whole energy system runs. Because when a center is defined or white, that means is there consistent energy or not? Whether a gate or not is defined, is that specific theme within the center, is that an actual theme for you? And that information comes from the position of the planets on the day, time, and place that we were born, and 88 days before we were born. So all that information comes from the position of the planets. That's where the astrology element comes in. And that translates into a certain outcome in the body graph. And that's where the energy part comes in. Like, do you have a consistent energy there or not? And this whole combination is unique for everyone, and it gives a really special dynamics in the whole combination, how it plays out. And that's where it gets really personal and unique and intriguing.
What are some of the challenges that people have when you give them the information, when you explain to them, like, hey, look, you, for example, you are a generator, you are a manifester, you are a
Yeah.
reflector. You should be doing this. You should try
Hmm.
to. Do you think it's hard for a lot of people to break out of the mold? Do you think that it's a question of that they're not connecting channels, or there's an
Um,
energetic blocks or something that prevents sometimes?
what happens a lot is that people want to know everything at once. They want to know it and they want to understand it. But knowing isn't doing. And I always tell people when they get to know their human design, this is a journey of a lifetime. So it's not about understanding it all straight away. Of course, there can be light bulb moments when you're like, oh, wait a minute, this needs to change. Oh, this is what I need to do differently. But there's a thing called habits and there's a thing called conditioning because we all grew up in a society, in a family system or a caregiver system. And we take on habits and beliefs and ways to do things as the only truth. And once you've been given another perspective from your human design, it can be hard. But I always tell people, start small. And when you know your energy type, your strategy, and your authority, which is your decision making tool, if you know these three things, that's a great place to start. That's all you need to know when you're a beginner. And from that point onwards, you can go deeper and further. But I would say the biggest pitfall is that people want to know and understand everything. And then they're overwhelmed because it's such a rich and layered system when you see all the gates and the channels and the centers and the circuits and you see definition and so many elements in your human design that give you pieces of the puzzle. But what like creating a puzzle, if you want to create the puzzle uh, all at once, it's where do I start? But when you know these three things, it's like a puzzle. If you start, with the edges, and that's where you start building the entire puzzle. And it's the same with human design. But for many people, that's hard because they want to understand and they want to change. But that doesn't happen overnight. It takes patience.
And also, besides in business, you can also use human design, obviously, I guess, related to your family, related to the structure of
Everything.
your home,
Yeah.
everything. What ways do you implement it? You can ask about you or maybe your clients. What ways
Yeah.
do you try to also use it in your daily life, even when it's not related to business? And also with just dealing with other individuals. Like, do you normally now try to figure out if you're dealing with a reflector, if you're
Oh
dealing
yeah, yeah.
with
Yeah, I just know. I just know when people tell me things, it just happened a few weeks ago when I spoke to a person. We were at a networking event and we were connected and she was talking about her daily life and I was like, you must be a manifesting generator. I just know. And she was talking, she said, no, but I don't know. But I'm struggling with this and this and this. And I was like, yeah, yeah. I think you're a manifesting generator, but that doesn't really matter. But what I would advise you to do is this. And then afterwards, she took on my website, you can download your chart. And she did, and she was like, "You were right. How did you know this?" "Oh, I know, sorry." But the thing is, how I use it in my daily life, first of all, is uh, doing the things that I really love, that energize me. Of course, there are things that don't energize me. I mean, admin, cleaning my house, all that. It's not necessarily energizing, but I know that the balance between non-energizing and energizing should definitely be on the energizing bit. When I do what I love, I become magnetic. So this is my main rule of thumb. Does it light me up? Whenever I get to do something, does it light me up? Second, I know my decision-making process. So I don't decide on the spot because especially for bigger things. When Because I get enthusiastic quite easily, and I know this now based on my human design. And in the past, I made decisions on the spot. I said yes to things that I regretted the day after. I have emotional authority in human design, which means I need time. The phrase sleep on it is made for people with emotional authority. I have emotional authority. I need to sleep on things. So if I don't do it, I regret the decision later. So that's how I use it. Whenever I don't know, invest in something, buy something, say yes to a project, um, say yes to a friend or family gathering, or whatever. I use time to think. And like, I'm coming back to you about this. I will, just check in with myself first, take some time, ride out the emotional wave in my human design, and then I know whether or not I want to do something. Another thing, I use it in communication with my son. My son is 20, almost 22. He's a generator. So, and I'm a generator. We both have an undefined throat in human design, which means we don't have a consistent energy when it comes to expressing ourselves. So it means that what happens is we have a lot of words one day, and the next day it's silent because it's not consistent. He has the same. I know this. So instead of, thinking, "Oh, but he never tells me anything." It's like, no, it's inconsistent. So there are days when he's like telling me this stuff about his work, about his girlfriend, about stuff, and the next day he's silent. And there is nothing wrong with that. So it's creates understanding. And I also use it with him with open-ended questions. Those are hard for him, as they are for me. Like, what do you want to do? Like, I don't know. I could do so many things. But if you give me options, like, do you want to do this or do you want to do that? I know instantly, straight away. And he's the same. So I know this about him. Like, it's a very common question. What do you want to eat for dinner tonight? And it's like we could eat just anything. I mean, so many options. But oh, you want rice or you want pasta? And I was like, oh yeah, I know. I want pasta. So those are, I would say, practical things. In my business, it's the rule of thumb is I need to do something that really lights me up. If I am not enthusiastic about the project that I'm doing, the offer that I'm promoting, the people that I work with, I'm out of alignment. So does it light me up? Following the joy and following the enthusiasm, that's really my rule of thumb. Second, I need to work in response. So creating something out of nothing is impossible for me. What I can do is create something that it's the building blocks are there, and then it needs to improve. It needs to go to a next level. That's where I'm great at, but I'm not good at creating something from nothing, from scratch. So knowing this about myself has really helped me a lot really a lot. It gives peace of mind. It's like, oh, this is not my cup of tea. Great. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to bother. So it really gives a lot of peace of mind and a lot of, I would say, second guessing. Like, um, am I weird? Am I supposed to do this or what? And now I'm like, nope, I'm not supposed to do this. Great. I'm not going to do it.
And so also when you're explaining all of this and you as you said you'll feel it because you'll feel like you're not aligned if you're not doing
Yeah.
something that you really enjoy. When you wrote your books, you have aligned energy. Is this kind of like the theme that you were trying to explain as well? Or tell me a little bit
Yes.
about the book and
Yeah, absolutely. So the thing is, what happens with a lot of people, I mean, when you look at the numbers, the statistics about depression, about burnout, people who are unhappy in relationships or with their jobs or, no, I mean, whatever, it means they are out of alignment. They are forcing themselves into a mold that is not theirs. And this is where they need aligned energy. They need the alignment with who they really are. I mean, one of my clients, she's a reflector. So she has the sensitivity as a super talent. She forced herself to be part of networking groups because that's the way we do things. You need the networking in order to have a business. But it was exhausting for her. It was wearing her out. And at some point, she went really to the verge of a breakdown, of a burnout. And I was like, why are you doing this? Because you don't need to do this. But this is what happens when people are forcing themselves into something that they are not. And the body keeps the score. And this is where human design gets really physical because our body is all about energy. And our body knows when something is right or wrong for us. The only thing is, we are, I would say, conditioned not to listen. Our intuition is incredibly well developed, but we are trained to listen to logic. We are trained to listen to reason. Whereas the body is, a beautiful compass and it tells us this is what you're here to do and this is what you're not here to do. We know when something is off, when something is wrong, when we're in the wrong environment, when we're doing the wrong job, when we're in the wrong relationship. Our bodies know, but we are trained not to listen. And this is not like anyone's fault. It's society, it's our upbringing, it's science. Like we only love facts, and this is energy. It can be labeled as woo woo, but it's not because the body always keeps the score. And this is what I really wanted to accomplish with the book, with Aligned Energy, is that people need to start aligning with their own energy because this is what happens when we don't align, those numbers of depression and burnout, they only go up. And I hate to watch people suffering where they can change things that are not that hard to change. But it takes courage to do it.
yeah, I think a lot of times when we are in situations where we feel that stuck feeling, it's really because sometimes we want to keep up with the status quo. You want to, keep up with what
Yeah,
is expected of you, but not
exactly.
necessarily,
Yeah.
what your heart's desire is. So to culminate, in the end, what would you say to skeptics, who might try to come? Maybe they're interested, they're coming to you, they want to try it out. What would you tell them? How long would you give them? Would you give them like a kind of like a time period to kind of like try it and see how it functions, start using your strategies? Like, what would you say to them in case they were individuals who were like, they're interested, but they're not sure?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm not going to convince anyone because you can only convince yourself. But the fact is, when you're listening to me and you're like, that might be something, you already know there is another way that may not be logical or rational or scientifically proven or whatever. So first of all, again, the body keeps the score. The body knows. The body knows before our heads know. But our heads and our egos get in the way because, like you said, we're trying to fit in. And this is where it gets tough for many people. When you start exploring, I would say, the more spiritual side and the personal development side of that, people around us may be like, what are you doing? Because this is weird. And this is like, yeah, but how does it work? I mean, just a couple of months ago, I spoke to someone who said, now convince me that this works. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to convince you because this is for people who have tried a lot of other things that didn't work for them. And this is not for the people who are skeptic about it and are like, oh, well, convince me that it works. It's like, it is a great way if you're open to it. But the thing is, this bypasses logic, this bypasses the rational mind because it teaches you how to trust your body again and how you trust what you have already known for so long. And I always tell people that I don't teach you anything new. You know this. You have known this. The only thing is you've lost the connection with it or you've forgotten a bit about it, but you know this already. And there is this feeling of relief like, oh yeah, but I know this. I've been like this my entire life, but I try to suppress it. I try to fit into a mold. I try to be part of a group or a system that I never really felt at home in. And this offers you a different perspective. But it takes patience. And when you start with it, like I said, start with your energy type. Start learning about your energy type and seeing how those things play out. Then try to live according to your strategy from your energy type and start using your authority, your decision-making tool from your human design and see what happens. Because I know for a fact that once you start doing that, gradually, day by day, you will be convinced, like, oh, but this is really a different way forward. And it's not a system that is forcing stuff on you from the outside. It's a system that activates what's always been a part of you, but lost or disconnected, and it helps you to remember who you really are and who you have always been, but what you try to suppress for one reason or the other. No judgment at all, but information. Oh, interesting. Oh, wow. Yeah, this is how I react. Interesting. It's information. And that's what human design offers. And that's what I do with my clients.
Well, thank you so much, Nicoline, for explaining that and for letting everyone know how it functions. And I will be putting all of your information also in the
Great.
description from your website if other people are interested and want to learn more about human design and what energy type they are and how they
Yes.
can use it not only for business, but maybe in their personal lives.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so thank you so much. And yeah, and guys, don't forget to subscribe to sacredmindshift.com, Sacred Mindshift on YouTube to never miss an important podcast or event. And thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you.